Hello everyone, my name is Merlo, and I recently took part in the Global Game Jam. The Global Game Jam is an event hosted every year where participants create a game in 48 hours. After having a blast in the last Global Game Jam, I knew that I had to take part this year as well. The games created during the jam had to be based around a certain theme. This year's theme was Lost and Found. When the theme got released on the Global Game Jam livestream, I started to think of ideas. At first, I thought of a game where you play as a character who is emotionally lost and has to go on some type of adventure to find himself. But I quickly scrapped this idea as it wasn't clear enough and I didn't have an understanding of what I really wanted to make. I'm glad I did so, because later on when I was brainstorming, I thought of crows and how they are always finding shiny things. And so I decided to make that into a game. I came up with an idea where you play as a murderer of crows and harass a man who is so rich shiny gold coins constantly fall out of his pockets. In my mind, the game looked like this. Around the edge of the screen view is lined with walls, and on those walls sits the crows the player will control. In the center of the walls, running scared, is the millionaire rich man. By clicking on the screen, the player will be able to make a crow swoop down and collect the coins the rich man drops. The player will play as all of the crows in the murder, but will only be able to move one at a time. With a plan in mind, I created the Unity file and downloaded a 1x1 pixel for prototyping. The first thing I did was create the basic movement system, and then made it more satisfying to interact with, stretching the birds as they fly, applying an exponential ease in and out to the movement, and leaving behind a particle effect. Then I added a trail to the box birds, before deciding that they needed art. Next it was time to upgrade the particle effect with some feathers, and create the first hazard the game will have, the block of death. If a bird hits the block of death, they die. When they die, they flash white, fade out, and randomize their rotation. This is done to really drive home the importance of a loss of a resource, and make the game more engaging for the player. I wanted the game's visuals to look like it was set in a noble's courtyard, as I thought that this was the most realistic setting for this game situation. I am definitely not an artist, but I am somewhat happy with the art in my game, and I am definitely interested in improving my art in the future. After the background was complete, it was time to create the rich millionaire man. I started by drawing him, cutting him apart, then animating him, before putting him back in the game. Shortly after, I created a red version as a temporary moving hired guard that would slap the birds that get too close. Arguably the most important feature of the game, I implemented eyes onto the millionaire man who is rich, and made it so these eyes would follow the currently selected bird to portray the fear the man has of the player. Then I created art for the coin and a stationary cat enemy. This cat enemy would later on become a great hazard that the player has to be mindful of whilst playing the game. At this point in the jam, I was about ready to create the first build and upload it, so that the other jammers can playtest my game. Playtesting is unbelievably valuable in game jams. It allows you to get a feel for the difficulty and fun of the game, as well as finding bugs and getting feedback. After implementing feedback from the playtest, I also decided to add spikes to the game, so that the player isn't even safe while sitting on top of the walls, and so that the player has to strategize more before just clicking on the screen. And then the last thing I worked on was a level system that will slowly introduce the player to the game mechanics, and act as a tutorial that will teach the player about these mechanics. I created 9 levels in total before the jam ended, and with this, the game is concluded and I submitted it online. I had overwhelmingly positive responses from other jammers, and I was even lucky enough to get the jam's hosts to play my game, and they loved it. The most common feedback that I got was to make it into a mobile game, so perhaps you should look out for that, as I might be making it into a mobile game shortly. If you want to watch the clip of the jam's hosts playing my game, then please follow the first link in the description. Once again, I would like to thank you for watching my video, I've been Merlo. Have a wonderful day.